The Brothers of Liberty, here to remind you what true freedom is. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Liberty with the older brother Kelton here. Like I promised at the end of December in one of my videos about how they were restricting the Second Amendment with different laws they tried to enact in the Congress. Definitely doing more videos on the Second Amendment because the more you see this, excuse me, the more you hear in the news, especially recently with California today. Now you have to register your uh, button guns, assault rifles, or something like that. I've shared the article on my Telegram. But yeah, you have to register them now if you had them after a certain year because now they're illegal to even purchase. Now, people who had them before they enacted the law can have them, but it has to be registered. Just another fine example of our Second Amendment rights being infringed on, so they know where to go to take the guns away when they do. Um, Now, this video here is more for those lovely so-called left-wing experts about the Constitution, saying that the Second Amendment is not about the people rights to bear arms, but it's about the state rights to have militias. Well, and they always want to point out when you say it, they want to put out the grammar that the comma is something that the framers did just for a pause. They didn't, even though they didn't make any mistakes on the rest of the Constitution, they made that mistake. It wasn't a pause for it to be saying it's a separate subject, but it's a pause to catch your breath. So I have an argument for those left wing experts, as they want to call themselves. And this argument can be used on them. So if you want to share this video, be sure and share the hell out of it because it makes them think and it makes them go back on the other amendments of the Constitution. Well, how did it make it go back on the other amendments of the Constitution? Well, first let me read the Second Amendment to give you the context, and we'll go read two other amendments as well. A well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, comma, shall not be infringed. Now, the framers did not make mistake. They believed that the people should have the right to bear arms. And before the so-called experts want to say, well, they're talking about the National Guard. One, the National Guard did not exist in the 1700s. In fact, they didn't exist until 1903 when they became law. And because of the fact, the reason why it became law is because the federal government said that there was different training for each state, so they wanted to put it under one training. In the 17 and 1800 militias were not even trained with the army. They were regular farmers, factory workers, Joe Schmoes. A lot of movies often depict. And I don't know if this has been said in actual history, but militias, farmers with pitchforks and torches, because they had no military training whatsoever. They were just civilians. And if you look at history, that's what militia was: civilians, people with their hunting rifle. The government didn't give them munitions. The government didn't give them guns. They purchased their own guns. They bought their own ammunition. It was the people's guns and the people's rights. But now, if you don't want to look at history, let's look at the actual verbiage. And this is where the so-called left-wing experts fail to realize it's talking about the people and not a national guard. Um, for instance, as I read it, they always want to say the right of the people is talking about national guard, talking about military people. So then you're telling me that the First Amendment is also not talking about the people, it's talking about a, a, a selective group. Because let me read the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise therefor, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. There again, the verbiage, the right of the people. And it does appear in one more amendment. The Fourth Amendment actually starts off the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or information, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So you got three amendments that says the right of the people. Now, these experts don't say that in those two amendments, the right of the people is a secluded group, only the Second Amendment. How can the same phrase mean two different things? It doesn't. It means the same thing. When the Constitution was written, we the people. It didn't say we the government. It didn't say we the military. It said we the people. So for all those who want to say the comma is just for a pause to breathe and not a separation of the subject, you guys are wrong. Look at the historic context. Look at the framers' journals, personal thoughts on it. Look at the actual verbiage in the Constitution itself. Once again, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And yet the government does it all the time. The ATF does it by changing rules of what a firearm is, and they keep changing their rules. And they're allowed to change their rules. And they need to be held accountable on the constitutional level. Because the federal government, depending on who's in charge, is not going to hold them accountable. They have to be held accountable by the people who's willing to stand up and sue them, to sue the federal government. We got state governors now suing, and it just needs to be continued. Because in order to take away our freedoms, yes, they're taking it away a little at a time, but complete tyranny will start with the abolishment of the Second Amendment. And once they take our guns away, everything goes downhill from there. It's already gone downhill. It'll just go down a lot faster. But don't take my word for it. If you have an opinion, because this is my opinion, and it's my brother's opinion, because I know he's very pro Second Amendment. And if you have a difference of opinion, put it in the comments. Tell me that I'm wrong. Tell me that the verbiage for the Second Amendment, the right of the people, means something different than the right of the people in the First Amendment and Fourth Amendment. Look in the dictionary. It all means the same thing. So what's the difference between the First, Second, and Fourth Amendment of the right of the people? And that's just my opinion. What's your opinion? Like, share, subscribe. And if you have any topics you want us to discuss or just want to chat, Brothers of Liberty 76 at gmail.com. We'll love to hear from you. We're hoping to do some videos together, me and my brother, and some live videos as well. But until then, we'll keep putting out videos here. Bug my brother, send emails to tell him to make more videos, because he's definitely more passionate than me, and I have some tact where he doesn't. So he's more entertaining, I'll give you that. And once again, this is the older brother of Liberty reminding you what true freedom is and ought to be.